So, hello everyone. My name is Sherry Lucas Hall. I am the owner of Design to Teach Tutoring Services, and I have decided to make a YouTube video to help with how we're teaching students the word that we call sight words or high frequency words. And so, what I intend to do tonight is I'm going to teach 10 more words, just like I did the last video. I've chosen tonight to teach the question words, who, what, where, when, and why, because they all are consistent with having the WH sound at the beginning. WH letters, I'm sorry. The sound is W at the beginning. And I chose them based on what I know that my students are doing in the class. We ask students questions all the time, and I think that those question words should be the first few words that we teach. There is an order to the words. I don't really care for the order that they have them in. I wanted to show them, and of course I'm not able to do that right now for some reason, but this is the list. And the list that I have is a list that always has the sight words in pre-primer, primer, first, second, and third grade order. What I'm finding is that students don't really see these words in that order. And I think that we should stop teaching them in that specific order and maybe group them together to teach them. So I'm going to teach the 10 tonight, and I'll demonstrate what I do with my students and how I teach the words. I'm going to start with the word what. The word is what. What are we doing? What are you wearing? What would you like to eat? The word is what. And of course I have my students repeat the word what. And so the first sound in the word what is w, okay? That's going to be represented by WH. And so I write the WH on the board, and this is a classroom, and I have my students write WH on their work. So here's WH, and we talk about that sound again being W, and then we talk about the sound that follows. And so the sound that follows after W in the word what is It sounds like a U. And students will, probably say that it's a U. But what we want them to know, this is what I do. I draw the heart, and I explain to my students that the sound that we hear, is not actually going to be a U that we write. The letter that we write is going to be an A. And the heart is the indicator that the sound that we hear in the word does not match the letter that we wrote, and that's what the heart is for. So I write the A, I write the heart so they can remember that the sound is but the letter you write is an A. And then the last sound of the word is T. And so T. And that last sound being T is a T. And I then write the letter T. And so now we review the word what. I often will have my students give me a sentence for the word. I choose random students and have them give me a sentence for the word, just so that we can practice using it in a sentence. And then the next word I'm going to teach is the word where. The word is where. And of course, I use the word in a sentence. Where are we? Where are you going? Where is my mother? And so the word again is where. And the beginning sound for where is W. And of course, that's the WH again. All right. The next sound for where is W, E. Okay. And so that's going to be an E. All right. W, E, R. Okay. In this word, it's the R. Okay. And then the final sound is a sound that we do not hear. It's the final E in the word where. Okay, the word is not were, and so I don't explain where as the ER being because that's not what it says. In the word where, the ER is separated when you say the word. It's not were, the word is were, okay? And so when I teach it as those sounds being separate. W, E, R. okay? And that final E sound being a letter that is there that's not heard. That's the word where. The next word that I teach is when. The next word I'm going to teach is when. And again, I'm teaching all of the words that have the WH sound in the word. And so we're going to start the word again with WH. W. Now, we talk about the sounds in the word. The next sound after W is W, eh. That is the letter E. And if your students can't tell you or your child can't tell you what sound those letters are, what you know is that they haven't made the letter sound connection yet, and that's what you need to work on. So we're working on the word when, W, eh, n. That last sound is n, and that is the letter N. N does not say n, it does not say in, it says n, and I always do this to help my students remember. N for nose. The next word I'm going to teach is the word why. Why are we learning to read? Why does my dog wag his tail? Again, I use the word in a sentence so they understand exactly what word I'm using, and they know that it's a word they've heard before. And I also have them use the word in a sentence so that they can make the association themselves. So again, the word is why. The beginning sound is w. And again, this is part of that pattern of WH letters, WH words. And so I'm going to write the WH. My students are writing the same letters that I'm writing. So the word is why. The first sound is W. The letters we've written are WH. The last sound in this word is I. Now, I'm going to write the heart as a reminder that while we hear I, the letter we're going to write is the letter Y. Now, I usually will also explain to my students that Y will make the I sound in words. When it's in the Y will make the I sound when it's the final sound in a word, in a one syllable word. So words like sky and cry and try and I can't think of any more, but there are more. Those words end with I. Those are all one syllable words. And when you have a one syllable word that ends in the sound I, you're going to write the letter Y. Y actually has about 6 or 7 sounds. I can't remember. I think it's 7, but it might be 6. Y has many sounds, and students need to learn that. But for the word Y, the I sound in this word is the letter Y, and that's what I tell them. And of course, there's the heart. So the word is Y, and of course, we use it in a sentence. And let's see what my next word is. The next word is who. Now, I chose who because while explaining to adults who has the WH letters at the beginning of the word, you don't hear the W. And so when I talk to my students and I say the word who, we talk, after we use it in a sentence. Who is that? Who's at the door? Who are you? Okay, we talk about the sounds we hear at the beginning of the word. And the beginning of the word starts with okay, so for that, I'm going to use the heart again, because in that case, the WH does not say w as the other words do. And so they need to remember that W in the WH that we are going to write is a sound that they don't hear. I don't like to say silent sounds because there are other letters that are like that, and I really don't like using that term. So we write the WH, but we write a heart underneath the W to remind students that W will not make a sound. And the next sound in the word who is ooh. Now, again, I'm going to use a heart one more time because when we say O, the O does not say ooh. O says ah or O. And so in the word who, the O says ooh. And students need to know that O saying ooh, while they may think it's a U, they're going to write the letter O. In this word, O says ooh. That's something they need to remember. So, back to the rest of our words. I'm going to teach the word look. Look. Look at the dog. Look at the sky. Look at me. Okay? So the word is look. The first sound in the word is O. So I write that, and it's not L or la. The students that add that schwa will have a hard time blending sound, and so we want to make sure that we get rid of that extra la. Okay? We don't want to say la. And so the sound for L is oo, as in leg and lip. So oo, the next sound in look is okay? And if you have covered the double O, you can not do the heart. If you have not covered the double O with double O sound, then you probably need to write the heart so that they know that that O, the double O, says and that's something you'll have to cover. And typically what I do is I teach this word along with other words like book and hook so that they get that pattern. So the last sound in the word k is k. And at the end of this word, we're going to write k, the letter K, not C. And that's our word look. And of course, we've used the word in a sentence. The next word I'm going to teach is up. Up is a simple one. The sound for you is okay? The next sound is p. The word is pretty true to the sounds of the letters. There's nothing out of the ordinary. So the word is up, and of course we use it in a sentence. The next word I'm going to teach is done. Done. My mother was done fixing dinner. My brother said, call me when you're done. Is your homework done? Again, have the students use the word in a sentence so they understand, what you're asking for. The first sound in the word, we talk about all the sounds in the word, so the first sound in the word done is D. And so we're going to write a D. What I decided was a lot of kids have the B and D confusion. I would suggest maybe putting a rubber band on their left hand to help them begin with the B hand. You have the B hand and maybe a rubber band or a band or something, a string maybe around their hand so that they remember that this is their left hand, and the left hand represents the B letter, and then the right hand would be the letter D. So if you have something to remind them that this is their left hand, it might help a bit more. So the word is done. After D, the next sound is okay? And again, we want to use the heart to help students to remember that while we hear the letter we're writing is O. Okay? The next sound is D, Again, for nose, okay? And the last sound in this word it's not a sound that they hear, okay? And so I'm going to put another heart here so that they understand that E does not make a sound. And so this is the word done. And of course, we use it in a sentence. 2 more words. The next word I'm going to teach is one. Now, done and one rhyme. And if you've taught your students about rhyming words, then they know that the end of words that rhyme are the same. And so this one's catchy because done and one, while they may rhyme, the sound of one at the beginning is w. And students know when they say the word one, they hear w. And so I teach them together because I think the sound pattern is great. It's helpful for them. So while this is done, the word one is spelled with the same letters. I should be a brown marker. I'm gonna switch real quick. The word one should be spelled with the same letters as done, only you're going to take off the D, right? This is the rhyming word, okay? If you've taught rhyming words, that will be an easy one to pick up. because once you take off the D, they'll say one. And what I do here is I put a heart because this sound is not it's not O. This sound says W. One. Okay, and so that O makes the W sound. And they need to be clear about that. And so I use the heart. Okay, so this letter almost makes two sounds in the word one. We say but there is no W. And so I use the heart to explain that while it may sound like W, and that's the letter W, when we write the word, it rhymes with done. And so there is no W needed. We have to remember that that O makes the W sound. And so that's what that heart is for. And of course, this E does not have a sound. And done and one do rhyme. The last word I'm going to teach is the word once. And if you think about it, done, one, and once, while they don't necessarily rhyme, the sound that's different in those words is that S. So it starts with the same letters as one. So, oops, there I go with that color again. So we're going to erase this. We want one. Our sound is going to be a C because C makes the sound of S when it is followed by the letter E. So I'm going to write a heart here because you may not be at the point of teaching how C makes that S sound. And so you use the heart to explain that while the letters for once at the beginning are the same as one at the beginning, once you get to that on, you're going to explain that the heart is going to represent how the sound, the letter that you write does not match the sound that you made. So once, I'm going to say this again. The letter C will make the sound of S when it's followed by E, I, or Y. But for smaller children, that's really not something you're teaching yet. That's not something that I've taught yet. I teach first grade as a substitute. And so I don't explain that yet. What I do explain is that once we say that S, we're going to write a heart because the letter that we write does not have that S sound. And later on, when you teach about the C making the S, the sound of S, and it being followed by E, I, or Y, you can explain that again later. They will run into the sound again. So I teach it as W, same sound here, W, on, S. Put the heart here and let them know that the sound S is going to be the letter C and not S. And of course, there's another heart here, and there would be one here as well. So the hearts are just to remind your students that the sound that you hear is not actually the letter that you're going to write. So we have the W, S, and of this heart is here only to remind them that there is no sound for the letter. So I've taught 10 words. The words what, where, when, why, who, look, up, done, one, and once. And once I've done that, of course, I will show the students all of the words out of order so that they can see them one more time. So we're going to go up, look, and you want them thinking about the sounds in the words. You want them to do that. So this one, I should have a heart here so that they're reminded that this W doesn't make a sound for who, why, when, what, where, once, one, and done. So I do use the flashcards, but not as an introduction. I never use the cards first. I always introduce the word orally so that they can hear it. I have them repeat it. I use it in a sentence, and I have them use it in a sentence. The practice is to get them to hear all the sounds in the words before they see the word. And then we begin to work with those sounds that they've heard. Once we get all the words written, then we show the words on the index card. So I don't use the cards first. Well, that's my 10 words for this week. And I almost dropped my phone. That's my 10 words for the week. I will post another 10, hopefully in another week. But that's it for now. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Bye.